Hi, everybody. This is John Jay, and I've been recently getting a lot of questions on this case regarding the Money Transmitter Act. That was U.S. versus Harmon. And I just pulled an article at random. I just did a keyword search, and I'm going to flip over there here. Let's see if I can get over there. All right. So as you can see, this is the article. So I just wanted to explain a few things to answer everyone at once, if that's all right. Some guy was using software and providing a service that allowed him to, let's call it, mix Bitcoin transactions in a way that concealed the history of the actual owner. If someone were to look at the blockchain, the trail would be lost, something like that. But he didn't have a money transmitter's license. I'm going to explain about that briefly. And here's a real question that everybody wants to know the answer to. How does this affect taxation? Because the district court stated that the Bitcoin in particular, in this action, Bitcoin is defined as money, okay, which is different than how the IRS has defined it. The IRS has defined it as property, and they're both correct. So this is what I want to clarify. The district court is the trial court. This is not an appeals court. So what those judges say are not, those are not holdings. Those are not binding on anybody. If this case was appealed, if it's going to be appealed, and and if it's appealed on the issue of the definition of Bitcoin being money, if that is the holding in the appeals court, and the appeals court makes that ruling, then it's what the appeals court said. But I agree with the court. I mean, I'm no judge, but I'm just telling you that I believe that the district court judge was correct. I don't think that there's going to be any different conclusion no matter what court you take it to. And keep in mind that this, it's not really a definition, it's just a basis for the court, the trial court in the District of Columbia, to deny the defendant's motion to dismiss. He's being indicted for doing something without a license, okay? Providing a service to someone, managing someone else's money without a license. That's what this whole thing is all about. So we're talking about Bitcoin here, but really it's any cryptographic currency you're going to find out. And we didn't need this judge to say this. Cryptographic currency generally is money, and it does meet the criteria for what has been defined as a matter of law. And let's just say acts of the US Congress. And I think most countries are like this. I'd have to go do research, but basically the United States Congress had written into the Bank Secrecy Act. I believe it was the provision of the Money Transmitters Act, I think is what we're talking about here. Okay, so from this legislation, another government agency was created, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Okay, everybody calls it FinCEN. So FinCEN is like the FBI, it's like the cops. Okay, FinCEN is the enforcement agency for money transmitter type violations and violations that would have criminal penalties. And the criminal penalties for this particular article are under Title 18, Section 1960. We can flip over there too, if I have that here handy. And as you can just search on the internet. It's not difficult to find that. So anyways, I'm going to cancel this. So sorry about that. I'm always still learning this stuff. But anyways, so you could see, just search on the internet for, you can search for US versus Harmon, Money Transmitter Act, things like that. Bitcoin is money. You can search on that. You can find all these articles. They're going to tell you the same thing. So I wanted to explain, these things. It's a district court ruling that's not a holding. It's not something that you can cite. That's why you're not going to find a citation for it. Now, if it gets appealed on that merit, then it may become a holding. But nonetheless, we don't need that judge's decision for anything, because the criteria for being a money transmitter is easy to establish just by what you're doing. Now, I'm not going to get into the, there's a way around everything. I'm not saying we'd have to do that. Just understand what you're dealing with, okay? It does not create a different tax treatment for Bitcoin or any other cryptographic currency. It doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter even if the appeals court creates a holding stating that Bitcoin or any crypto coin is money, because the taxing authority, which is not FinCEN, it's the IRS, has defined cryptocurrency or Bitcoin as property, and correctly so, if I could say that. So there's really no connection there. If Bitcoin or other cryptographic currency were to become taxable, then I believe it could be. I believe that's possible. I believe it would be in the same situation as we are with the US dollar. The way that would happen is either Congress would need to write a new law and have it adopted and codified into the United States Code somewhere. It would be in Title 26 or 27, okay? Once that were to happen, then the Secretary of the Treasury would have to write new regulations identifying Bitcoin specifically as a thing being taxed. It would have to have a whole regulatory framework. It would take several years probably to set this up. That process requires the publication of proposed rulemaking, proposed legislation in the Federal Register. So it's a long process. I mean, it would take several years before, if it were to ever happen, where Bitcoin would be itself taxable. And in the end, if we did have the legal framework and we passed through all the public debate, right, in the few years is the briefest time I could imagine. And then what would have to happen is the IRS would then accept tax payments in Bitcoin. And yes, it would be taxable just like the US dollar. And yes, we would have to treat it accordingly. Not a problem. Just understand that right now it's not like that. So it makes things a little bit easier, but it could be like that. I don't really believe that's going to be the case. And I don't think that should change your investment strategy. I don't think it should change your method of managing your property or property rights, or how you want to look at, gains in the future. So everything's the same. From the conversations I've had with people, this case doesn't really change anything. There's nothing. It just gives us more insight. So it'd be interesting to see if this goes to the appeals court. I doubt that it will. So anyways, I hope that helps. You guys have a good day.